Guys, so welcome to this video. So as you can see behind me, we currently have the charts open. Gold is the main watch for tomorrow. Arguably, it's already moving right now, so we'll see how that develops. But routine-wise, we're about to get into the routine of myself and talk you through how I lay everything out for the next day. Because I always go off the concept of your day start the night before, so everything I do tonight impacts how good tomorrow is going to be from a peak performance standpoint. So it's going to be good. Let's walk you through it. But first and foremost, I need a refill, and then I'll join you back here in like pretty much 2 minutes.
I know it's gonna hurt, but you're worth fighting for.
So we are all good to go here. Let me just switch off the light. No, now you guys can't see me, can you? Give me a sec. There we go. Hopefully you can see me. Hopefully that clears things up a bit. But yeah, in regards to forecasting, just about to get to my forecasting process, I want to highlight a few things and some of the things on the back end of stuff of the business that is super important. Because a lot of people see me forecasting, but then they don't see, you know, the things that it coordinates to and the reason why it's important. So it's going to be good to show that side of things. But in regards to forecasting, let's take a look at this process first and foremost, and then we'll dig into the back end stuff in a bit as well. So in terms of my daily watch list process in the evening, so it's split into two parts. So essentially the biggest part is on TradingView, and then the second part is on Notion. So TradingView wise, this is where I'll have a watch list. So I have two watch lists, basically my top six, as it sounds, top six pairs that I focus on for the week. And then I'll have a separate watch list, which is more so wildcards. So these are pairs that are not quite on my forefront of my mind going into the week, but they are pairs that may need a little bit more development, need a little bit more time, but they're still high quality trades that could potentially develop. So here's what I do. So top six, I'll go through all of them. Starting off with the higher time frame structure, I'll go from the daily chart down to the 4 hour, down to the 1 hour, compare all the structures, the higher time frames to the lower time frames, see if there's any trades developing. And usually, because I'm keeping up to date with this, maintaining this throughout each day, especially this week, it's been a pretty corrective week. We haven't had too much movement. It's pretty easy to just go through and just see which pairs are materializing. For example, today, euro dollar, I know it's quite far away, it's not developed yet, so naturally just spending a lot less energy on kind of pairs that don't really matter at this stage, but at the same time just keeping a pulse on the market, making sure that I am up to date with the structures and how the market is flowing. And then yeah, I'll go through all six pairs, start to filter out pairs, and if there's any trades that I am specifically watching for the next day that I want to come back to, I'll flag that. So there'll be a little flag tool on TradingView on the watch list, which I can flag that, make sure that I'm up to date with that, and make sure that I'm actually taking screenshots and just preparing for that in detail. But let me show you what I mean in regards to that. So let's take a look at TradingView. Cool. So hopefully you see that watch list there in the top right corner. So now we're on TradingView currently, and you can see this is my top six. So you can see on this section here, two watch list, top six pairs, and then wildcards. Top six currently I have euro dollar, euro cad, pound yen, kiwi dollar, dollar yen, and cad yen. And then wildcards, simply at the moment, these get filtered out during the week. So I did have like 4 or 5 pairs. Now just the one pair, which is gold, which is my favorite pair going into tomorrow, which is why the wildcard pairs, you know, watch list is super important as well, because if these don't develop throughout the week, then the wildcards is essentially the backup. So that's how I approach it. Gold, so it's developing nicely, and we'll run through this in a little bit as well. But in regards to this structure, like this is a trade that could potentially develop into tomorrow. So this is a situation where I'm going to be very on the ball with this. I'm going to be monitoring this, know my entries in advance, take screenshots, use that as accountability, and just be on the ball. So that's a situation where that does come into consideration quite a lot. But yeah, in regards to that, that's pretty much my process. Pretty simple. It probably takes me, it depends on the day, to be completely honest, but this week, usually I'd say between between 20 and 30 minutes usually. It used to be like more so 45, but you just get quicker and more efficient over time. I'd say more so 20 to 30 now, which is good. But some days it could literally be 15 minutes. There could be no pairs on watch. I could literally be flicking through, scanning the markets, not looking at anything. And then in that case, it's like a shorter process. Whereas impulsive weeks kick around, I could be watching 3 trades going into tomorrow that may potentially develop. And then it goes into like a 40-minute process. So it completely depends. It depends on how the market is flowing at that point. But yeah, that's how my process is right now. What we're going to do right now is dive into the second part of this, which is going to be based on Notion. So let's get into that now. So in terms of daily forecasting, this is where the consistency really kicks in regards to routine and structure. So the reason I'm showing you this is because I've just wrapped up the forecasting and preparation for tomorrow, which is the 24th of Jan. So how I basically structure it, everything is available in the link down below, so you can feel free to download these free templates for yourself and use them because they're available to you. So in regards to tomorrow, I mean, even looking back, you can see all these different days. There's different setups formed. I have everything outlined, know exactly what I'm taking. That's really the true foundation of this. So let's go to tomorrow. So Friday the 24th of Jan. The only trade on watch for me tomorrow, as of right now, is gold. So I don't trade gold too often, but when it does shape up, we get some really nice trades. So looking at gold short, here's how I laid out. Symbol, the date, was it a go-to setup or not? So yes or no. Grade of setup, high probability or valid. In this case, it's high prob, which is good news. Then the screenshots. So this is arguably the most important thing. So this essentially acts as accountability, especially when we drop onto lower time frames. So I usually outline the daily chart and then the 1 hour or the 15 minute. Now as we drop to the 1 hour chart, you'll notice that I'm pretty precise in terms of forecasting. I know exactly what I'm looking at, especially when I do it by myself. And you know, I outlined exactly what I'm going to be looking for in order to take these entries. So that's really the key, and it essentially acts as accountability for myself leading into the next day. If I didn't have this, I wouldn't be as structured, and I don't think my mind would have as much clarity. So the fact that I'm all structured and I know exactly what I'm looking for helps me to realize that I can do this at scale. So if I'm trading 10 times what I'm trading right now, am I going to replicate the same process? Pretty much, or a very similar process anyway. So this is the key. You want to set these foundational habits right now at these early stages before you then scale up. So this is why I'm doing that, and this is why I've been doubling down on this over the past 6 and 12 months, because 2020 is a big year. Now in regards to this, so first entry that I'm looking for on gold, as you can see, we've got this bigger false breakout here, type action, in which we pushed up and then broke to the downside. So on the daily time frame, that simply looks like this. So we had this bigger double top, price pushed up to the upside. Following that, we had a strong rejection, and now we're just forming a larger correction. Now dropping to the 1 hour chart, so simply looking for a 1, 2, 3 touch pattern here, and looking to get involved in that from the 15 minute or the 1 hour, depending on its structure. So ideally what we get is a small 15 minute ascending channel, and then I'll use the 15 minute purely as a filter just to get a more precise and accurate entry. I can use the 1 hour, but the stops are going to be a lot larger, so I'd rather use the 15 minute if I can get away with it. And then the other entry that I'm looking at is if we get the same thing, but it's more so a false breakout and then a 15 minute continuation. So if we get that, that's my alternate entry into the trade. I'll be taking that for sure. So in terms of my forecasting, that's pretty much what I'm looking for tomorrow. I've just run over this in terms of my daily watch list, so I know exactly what I'm looking for. But before I go to bed, I'll probably just have another look at this, make sure that when I get up, I know exactly what I'm looking for. So that is the key right there. But yeah, I'll take you through some of the back end stuff of the business, and we'll see why this stuff kind of matters the most. So guys, welcome to the back end of the business essentially. So this is all my journaling stuff, what I use to correlate everything in regards to my trading. So the reason I'm showing you this is because that forecasting and ratios is super important. So for example, I'll just take you around my journal first and foremost. So this is the journal, pretty laid out. We've just started January, so currently hovering at 2.6. Not too much at this stage, but we'll see how it goes. And then in regards to this, we have different sections, and then we have this. So these are the different sections here. So we have equity curve, then we have all these different sections, all these different data analytics, like so. And then we also have, if I just zoom out a little bit, we also have this currency pair analytics thing as well, in which I can record the data, see how each preferred pair is performing in accordance with the setups I'm taking. So it's just a nice accountability check all the time. So in regards to this, let me point out that the most key little bit of detail within this is this section here. So the reason why that is, you can see the ratios. If you just focus on this row here, you can see that the ratios right now in terms of high probability trades to valid trades is I'm currently hovering around 57.14%, and then valid trades is taking up 42.86% of the trades that I've currently taken. So currently taken 7 trades so far. In terms of high prop, 2 of them have been wins, 1 have been break even, and 1 was a loss. In terms of valid, 0 wins, 1 break even, 2 losses. So ultimately 7 trades altogether, currently up 2.6, but you can see these different metrics, right? Now the reason it's important is because my ideal ratio of where I want to be within my trading is ideally 80-20. So ideally 80% of my trades that I'm taking should be high probability or around that ratio, and then 20% should be valid. None of my trades should be invalid, so that's just a column, a row that I don't really use too much. It should be more so these two for high performance. But in regards to this, I need to get my ratios to around that 80-20 mark. So that's what I'm aiming for. So if I start off the month or start off the quarter, right, and I'm currently up 10% profit, let's say for January, let's just put a blind figure in there, and I've taken 10 trades and 9 of them are high probability, right? So only 1 of them is valid. Then that puts me in a great position, right, for the month. And I know that I'm currently hovering around 90-10% ratio, so I can afford to take valid trades at that point. So if a good quality valid trade forms, and I have potential to take that, and it still has potential to bank me 2, 3, 4, 5%, then I'm going to take it if it fits to my plan. But here's where the key difference is. If I'm going to the month, and let's say today's date is the 24th, 23rd, let's say it's currently the 23rd, I'm currently hovering around break even, and I then see a valid trade materialized, and you know, my ratios are imbalanced, they're not according to how I want them to be, then I see that valid trade, I'm probably going to be looking at it differently. So am I going to be looking to take it? Possibly, but probably not as well. So I will bear in mind both different alternatives. It's not about being, you know, totally rigid with these, but at the same time, it's important to be self-aware with these and have this as a guideline. So if that situation happens, am I going to be taking that valid trade the same way that I would being up 10%? Probably not. I want to be sticking to more high prop trades. So that's where it comes in, and that's where this back end stuff really correlates. So I always correlate this to my forecasting before I take trades. And I ultimately just have it in a different tab open on my browser as well, so that I can always refer back to it, see how I'm doing within the month and within the quarter, and just always come back to that as essentially a head check or accountability checker. So that's how I use it. But yeah, just thought I'd show you that quickly and just outline how I use the back end stuff of the business. So that's some of the stuff behind the scenes, but let's take a quick look at gold and just show you what's developing there. So if we take a look at gold, let's have a quick look at gold to see how this is developing. Now, gold is developing nicely. It hasn't developed just yet, but it is materializing. So I've just got forecasting on here. Let me just delete that, and that. So we did get a double top rejection around these areas, but it just needs more time at this point. So we can see here, if we just focus on this, we've pushed down following that double top, but then we're just starting to push back up. So I think at this point, likely, what is very likely to happen is more so this structure here. To be completely honest, let's just ignore the result. It's more so the formation or the setup. So let's just see, it's more so this, and then let's grab this as well. More so this, anything like this, right, in which we get a clear ascending formation at the top of the structure, right, that will naturally just align with the London session tomorrow morning anyway, so that extra adds, you know, coming into volatility, especially early in the morning, that'll be a nice play anyway. But especially this with this being at the top of the structure, I'll be able to look at that on the 1 hour chart, then drop to the 15-minute chart, and then be like, cool, well, say for example on the 1 hour, you can be accurate on the 1 hour, but let's say I put my structure in here, right, and it's not quite too accurate. Then I drop to the 15-minute and I can tighten that up a little bit and be like, yeah, let's tighten that up let's be more precise with this. And then when I put my risk to reward tool on, that allows me to get in a little bit tighter, a little bit more accurate, but having the stop in the exact same place. So I've still got a very safe stop, and it's still in a great place. So that if price did change and price did push up, then I'm out for the 1%. But ultimately, if that did push down, then my stop is safe away from anything. And then at target wise, to the bottom of the structure here, we can see that we have 4.4 just under. And then to the bottom of the structure, which is the play that I'm currently looking at, which would be, what's that, 8.5% profit. So we have an 8.5 to 1 risk to reward ratio available for this trade. So is that something that I'm going to be looking at for a short-term play? 100%. That's a great trade. So if we get that, that takes it to 2.5% month to, what's that, just over 12-13%. So not that it matters about returns, because it doesn't. It's more so the process and actually sticking to your plan. But in regards to the opportunity with this trade, it could really be nice in terms of growth for the start of the quarter. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this develops. And this is the only trade that I'm currently watching right now. Arguably, there's a lot of trades forming for next week. So the back end of the month is where we do usually have a lot of trades forming. But euro dollar, not really looking at that right now. Euro CAD, that is one that I'm really looking at. So potential short-term play. If we do get a correction here, that may drop, and that may be a short-term play that I do consider. But as for right now, just focus on gold. But if we do get any structure, let's say more so like this around these key value areas here, then that's a trade that I want to be on 100%. So let's say we form something like this, right? And then we start to come to the downside, descending formation here at the double bottom area or breaks below, and then I want to be getting involved in that trade for the longer term buys. So that's going to be incredible. Really looking forward to see how EuroCAD develops, but that's pretty much it for tomorrow. The rest just need more time. But yeah, the watch list is looking fire with gold on there. And yeah, let's pretty much see how that develops. So right now at this point, I've done my forecasting, got everything prepared for tomorrow. So right now I'm just going to dive into a couple of other things, set my goals for tomorrow, and then kind of calm the night down from now. So I know what I'm looking for. I'm prepared in advance. That is the key thing within my routine in the evenings. And now we're just about to get into some goal setting for tomorrow. So that should be good. But yeah, let's get into that now. So one more process that I put in place before we finish off in terms of trading. So bear with me a couple of minutes. Let me just turn on the light so we can start to see a little bit clearly. So one thing that I do regularly before I take each trade is always cross-reference the trades that I take to the trades that I forecasted. So this is probably top 3 processes that I put in place in terms of actually executing trades. So within my plan, I have a section, basically a checklist of a pre-trade checklist. These are questions that I always run through prior to taking each trade in alignment with what I forecasted and then what's within my plan. So you can see here, right? 10 pretty straightforward questions, but it's always good to act as an accountability checker. Now, with this, you can see, is this high probability trade all valid? Is this trade in line with my plan? Is the overall move supported by the high time frame structure? Have I forecasted this trade? Is the setup clean? Would I take this trade on a 1 mil account? Am I happy taking a loss in this position? That's very key actually, just down to probabilities. It's not always going to be a winner. If I take a loss or a break even, where on my alternate entries to get back in the position if the setup is still there? How am I going to manage the position? So am I going to be at the charts at the time of the trade? Am I going to be able to manage that position effectively? If not, then you have to decide accordingly. And then how am I going to manage the trade? So if price is this, I'll do this. If price is this, I'll do this. So pretty straightforward. So what I basically do is that I'll have this right in front of me, like so, before I take each trade, and I'll cross-reference that to the trades that I forecasted. So for example, right now on gold, before that entry occurs within the market, I will always check back to this. Know my questions, know exactly what I'm looking for, know that it's within my plan, and then ultimately it just gives me confidence, and then I take the trade. So that's pretty much what I do, but I usually just run through it the evening before as I'm forecasting, just as a more efficient process. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So in terms of that, it's pretty helpful, pretty straightforward process as well, don't get me wrong. It's more so in the conscious stage right now. So I mean, I could probably get away with this and just not look at that, but at the same time, like I'm in that stage right now where I just need to continue doing the right things that I've been doing. So hence why I'm doing that. But yeah, trading wise, that's pretty much it. I know what I'm looking for. My eyes are currently on gold. Before bed I'll just have another look at that, but yeah, I'm pretty much ready in terms of taking that trade for tomorrow if that develops. If it doesn't develop, I'll just sit on the sidelines, wait, and just simply wait. Like, you have to stick to your plan, so happy with that. But yeah, next process is I'm going to be getting into some goal setting. Essentially goal setting is more so like daily goals and stuff like that. So that's the next process, and then yeah, I'm going to get into some more things. So daily goals are set. So I usually set 5 daily goals alongside some sub goals as well. So that's more so like a to-do list. The main 5 priority daily goals is what I focus on first and foremost. Then what I usually do is I always like coincide it with my 2020 goals and my Q1 goals. So Q1, for those of you who don't know, like the year is split up into 4 quarters. Q1 is essentially January, February, March. So I always come back to these, see the goals that I've got set for the year and the quarter, and then always base my daily goals around these. So that gives me a great insight into what I'm currently working on, anything that I missed out, what to focus on. It's constantly realigning my focus every day so that I'm on the right path to where I want to be in a year's time, where I want to be at the end of the quarter. So that's the key. So just finished up with some reading, so just currently reading See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar. So great book so far. I'll keep you updated on that. But yeah, usually just read for like 10-15 minutes at night. Sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on how I feel. But yeah, apart from that, all prepared for tomorrow, which is the main thing, which is the main focus of the night. So pretty straightforward routine, as you can probably tell. Mainly trading related and goal setting for the next day. And just making sure that I'm in peak performance state for the next day. You know, if you slack off the night before, it compounds and you feel that the next day. Try it for yourself. You probably already know this. If you slack off at night, you go to bed late, you wake up late, whatever it is, it's a compound effect. Like, it impacts your day and then you don't feel as good. Where if you get everything sorted the night before, you're on point with your preparation, all your goals are set in advance, you feel good, you go to bed early, then you wake up early, you just feel good, and then you start stacking wins such as, cool, let me go to the gym, let me do my meditation, forecasting in the morning, all this stuff, and you start stacking those prior wins. You just build up this inner belief in yourself over time, over the course of 6 months, 12 months. And let me tell you right now, when I say that compound effect is more important than anything for confidence. So that's one thing I say. But yeah, to tune out on this video, I'm going to tune out and see you all on the next one. So I hope you've enjoyed and have a great week. Speak to you soon.